Hey, welcome back to the Marianne Hickman Show. And let me just say, if you're new here, welcome. Welcome to this community. Welcome to this group of people who are listening in on this podcast to learn how to be better speakers and, frankly, better humans. A lot of people ask me, Marianne, what's your podcast about? Especially when they're coming on the show or, if I'm sending it out to people. And I say, you know what? This podcast is full of people who interest me. It's full of people who inspire me. It's full of people who I'm curious about. And sometimes we even have people that I disagree with on the show. And this show is all meant to make us better people, make me a better person to begin with, but maybe that'll translate to you. And maybe there's someone that you might think of while listening to this episode. You might think, oh, so-and-so needs to hear this. Becky needs to hear this, or my kids need to hear this. Maybe you're listening to this in the sauna, and maybe you're listening to this like I do on a run or whatever it might be. If there's someone that comes into your heart or your mind that needs to hear this show, you'll know because you'll get their name. They'll just cross your mind. I want you to send this to them. Why? Not because I need the shares, but it's because they need the episode. They need the content that's in here. And today, this is especially poignant because today's episode is, I want to say it's all about friendship, but it's deeper than that. This is the life-saving brotherhood that I'm bringing to you through the mouth of Jordan today. Jordan survived the unsurvivable when it came to his time in Afghanistan, defending the freedom of our country. You'll hear it in the episode, but this man took a shot to the head and lived to tell the tale. In fact, the day I met Jordan, we were helping just with a mutual connection of ours. We went over to Jordan's house to try and see if we could help around the house a little bit because this guy had a snowboarding accident. Like, seriously? You have to wrap your head around this with me. He broke a rib snowboarding. Now, keep in mind, he has one leg. He is paralyzed on one side, and he had broke a rib while snowboarding. Yeah, think about that for a second. You're snowboarding without all of your limbs, without the use of some of your limbs. This is an unconquerable spirit, and I want you to meet him because there's someone like this in your world who deserves a text from you to say thank you for being there for me. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll see you in there. Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. So take us back to, so when I was just like refreshing and reading your story on your website again today, and I was like, okay, where did this start? Did it really start at 2001 with the 9/11 attacks?
My story and my path, definitely. Well, I think it started before that as a kid.
Uh-huh.
I had like a Sandlot style childhood.
That's the best.
That's how I explain to people because people don't understand that process of like the 80s and 90s back then when it was so different.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have video games like we do now. We were outside making our games. I had like this really core set of friends and we played a game we called War. And we'd be outside all day running through our neighborhood, through our backyards. How being a homeowner now, like having these little boys running through my yard every day might bother me, but for whatever reason, the people back then didn't mind us.
They didn't care.
There was this troop of boys that were literally running all through the neighborhood, back over fences, and it was our battlefield. Was our neighborhood.
Yeah,
and we would spend all day playing what we called War.
What was the layout of the game?
There wasn't even really any rules. It was just we were all fighting. It's like the games they play now, where it's like every man for themselves.
Yeah.
Only there weren't. It was on as much as little kids could be, like an honor basis. Like if I shot you,
you go down.
You go down.
Yeah.
We would argue like little boys would. You didn't get me. But we would just play that, and if you got shot, you would. Oh, you got me, but. You would take like a break, but not really. You would be back running around trying to hide again. It was just like a really intense hide and go seek game.
It's like an honored style laser tag, but without the lasers.
Sure, exactly.
And without the paintballs. Yeah.
But we would play that rain or sun. We were out there playing with this. That was our game. That was our baseball, our Sandlot baseball. We wore pretend Nerf guns running around our neighborhood, and that's where I really developed this. Like this would be so much fun. Like I grew up and got to do with the game I loved the most as a kid.
Yeah.
And then when 9/11 happened and I started to learn more about war and what it really meant.
How old were you when
I was a freshman in high school.
Okay, wow.
So I guess I knew at that point because I'd seen like the movies and things like that before that. But then when the war started in Iraq, like that's when I was like, these guys are real. They're really going out there and doing this stuff.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, that looks so much fun.
Well, it's like fun, but also like harrowing and dangerous. Fun
as a little boy would see it and be like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Jumping out of planes, carrying guns, like that. That looked fun to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then there's the patriotism of like defending your country.
It's funny. There's that part of my head that knows that it's like, that sounds crazy. Like, why would you want to go let people shoot at you? But in my mind, I was going to go serve my country. was going to get to wear the flag on my sleeve and be a part of that team. And I wanted that.
Well, and I have to say, as a mom, war is scary to me. Like we're back in it now, right? We're in Iran right now. And that part, I have nightmares about that. I have nightmares about my kids. Like we're going on a trip and my kid gets stuck overseas. And what do? It's wartime.
Right.
Right. But we have to have people like you that are like, this is it. This is my calling. This is what I want to do. And yeah, it's scary, but there's the adrenaline. What's that like? Is this the adrenaline?
It is the best drug I've ever felt. And not to say that I've tried a lot of drugs and I haven't. So I want to caveat that. Right. But it is the best, the biggest high I've ever felt is being with my team that I've trained months, years with, and going and doing our job. And having that fear, that feeling of fear is unlike anything I've ever felt before. Like real, genuine fear. But I've explained to people, but you know that it's scary, but you don't feel scared. Because I felt safe. I felt so comfortable and safe with the men that I was deployed with that I knew, regardless of what happened to me, they were going to bring me home.
Yeah.
And I have evidence of that today.
Yeah, you do. And when we were at your house and just listening to that story of that helicopter ride, I was like on the edge of my seat. And I want to go into that part of it when we get there and put a magnifying glass on that, because part of what I'm wanting to build is a band of brothers from my boys. But they're 13. I don't want to have to send them into the battlefield, right?
You know, I'll go back to something you said about being scared, worried about it. As someone who's experienced war, it scares me. I have a 16-year-old son.
Yeah.
And I have a 2-year-old son. And I have 2 little girls too. Like that terrifies me that they would experience some of the things that I did. Like I want nothing more than for that to never happen for them.
Right.
I don't know the quote or who said it, but there's a quote that says nobody wants peace more than the warrior.
Mm.
I think don't quote me on that, but it's something to that degree. Like nobody wants peace more than the warrior who's experienced war, because we know what it's like, and I don't want that for my kids.
What do you think your mom was going through when you're like,
I have no idea. I think because I grew up like I said I did, I think it was kind of like an understanding that Jordan's going to end up doing something like this anyways. So I think maybe like my whole childhood growing up to that point was kind of building them up for letting me go to do that.
So she kind of saw it coming.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I would watch Cops back in the day with my mom. That was like our favorite show, was watching Cops. So I think that it was already understood that Jordan was going to be this kind of kid and do this kind of profession. I
would just have to brace myself as a mother. Oh, yeah. I don't know how it would.
I don't, as a parent now, it would be really hard for me. Like I'd be like, okay, you're signing up, I'm signing up. If something happens to you, I want to be there to take you out.
Right?
It's my job to keep you safe.
Yeah.
So it would be hard experiencing that lifestyle and knowing what it's like to let my kids go off without me being able to protect them.
Yeah.
Because a big reason I went into that profession too was I have a very protective nature for my kids, my wife, my family. I'm very protective. And to send my kids off to do that type of profession is terrifying to me, because I'm no longer able to protect them anymore.
Yeah.
I have to trust that their team and their own training is going to be what protects them.
Well, and so I think about that a lot, because as we raise kids, God forbid we have to send them into a literal war zone, but we are every time they leave the house. There's a battle for the mind happening all the time. And do they have the band of brothers that they've selected as their friends? Or do they have the right friends? And there's a lot of control we don't have.
Yeah, that band of brothers that you're talking about for your boys, the group that I mentioned that I grew up with, and we were like our sandlot brothers, like I'm still as close to them as I am any friends I have today.
Did they go with you? They
did not join with me, but
yeah.
The moment I got hurt, 2 of them flew across the country to see me in the hospital.
Yeah. And they were still there with you from childhood.
And I've been friends with them since I was 4, maybe 5 years old.
Oh my gosh. That's rare. What a rare gift.
It's very unique, and I am lucky that I get to say I have that kind of core friendship.
Yeah.
And they've experienced everything that I've experienced in my life with me. Mm-hmm. So nobody knows me better than that group of friends. And I am so grateful that I have them to lean on when I'm having a hard time, because they know me. They know what to say to me. They know how to encourage me. They know how to criticize me, make me remember that I'm strong and I can do it.
Well, and I want to yes, there's a fortune to that, but you did it on purpose too. I don't know that it's necessarily all luck. You did that on purpose. You forged that friendship on purpose. You brought those boys, now men, into your life and you kept them on purpose, right?
Yeah.
So there's a strategy to that too.
Definitely. To be able to maintain that type of friendship is hard.
Yeah.
Especially as we get older and they have families. I have a family, and it's hard to maintain that type of friendship. When you're younger and you don't have a care in the world, it's easy to just, hey, you want to go ride our bikes together? Cool, let's go ride bikes.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, hey man, I got to take my kids to soccer practice. I got work. I can't make it. To maintain that friendship is definitely hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's done with deliberation.
Right.
Okay. So for those that don't know the story, take us from 2001, the attacks on September 11th. Now take us to where you're now deployed.
Yeah. Sorry, I sidetracked you when you.
No, don't be. I like the stories. I'm here for it, man.
That is the core of who I grew up to be, was because of that core friendship and those experiences as a kid and what I wanted to do as I grew up. But 2011, I was a freshman in high school, and I remember I was sitting in my English class when the gossip started to travel amongst all of us, and the teacher telling us what was happening or what had happened in New York.
And by the way, for those of you that don't know what the early 2000s was like, we didn't have smartphones, and it was like maybe it's what it's for you. You know, we had a TV in every classroom, and you would just go from one classroom to the next.
Right.
Right. Was it like that for you?
Definitely. Yeah, I remember they flipped the TV on in English class, and we were watching the news in class. I was like, looking back, maybe it wouldn't happen today. I'm like, that's a very traumatic thing to put on TV without me being able to like process that with my parents. So if that were to happen today to one of my kids, I'd be like, I don't appreciate that you guys did that without me knowing that you were showing that to my kid. That's scary.
But back then, the parents were finding out if they probably didn't know as fast as we did. You know, because we had a TV in every classroom. They're probably at work.
Yeah, exactly. My dad was at work. My mom was at work. My mom was a nurse. So she didn't have access to that information.
So you probably knew before she did.
Because we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have that immediate notification that something had happened.
Yeah. So you're watching this.
So I'm watching that unfold as a student in high school and seeing what was going on. And then as everything unfolded from there, and then we were going to war, and it was the majority of my adult life post 9/11, I've seen our country at war, including the one that I ended up going and being a participant in.
So take us to that point. So you had to finish high school.
I had to finish high school. I saw friends of mine that were older than me that would graduate high school, and then they would join the military, and then they were going over to fight. And so I felt drawn to it even then. Like, if they're going to do it, I'm physically strong enough. I'm pretty sure I'm mentally capable of handling that type of environment.
Even though there's no way to know until you're there. But
yeah. How do you prepare to get punched in the face?
Punched in the face. Like, it's the only way to do it.
At that point, I didn't understand it either. But I just knew, I felt the calling that was where I was supposed to go. So my senior year of high school, fast forward 3 years, I enlisted into the Navy. As a senior in high school, I enlisted in the Navy. So as everyone's writing on, I remember in one of my classes, everyone's writing the college that they're going to next year after graduation, and I wrote in big letters, U.S. Navy.
Wow.
I was so pumped. I was so excited. I had a SEAL contract, which are hard to get because you have to qualify you have to prove that you're eligible and capable of doing it to get the SEAL contract.
Yeah, I just got chills. Ugh. So wow.
I was approved for that, but as I'm going into the latter half of spring of my senior year, I was a big athlete, football, wrestling, and track and field. In California, I had gone to state championships every year I was in high school.
For wrestling?
For track and field.
For track and field, dang.
In California. And in California, track and field is the mecca. California is the mecca of track and field, in my opinion.
Yeah, they are big on sports.
Well, you can train all year long.
Yeah, and you don't have winter or whatever. Yeah. My daughter just came back from a competition in California, and she's like, Mom, the kids over there are on something. It's different.
Right. Well, Utah, I will give Utah credit. When it comes to distance and longer stuff, Utah is the place to be. When it comes to sprints and being fast, California is where it's at. And I was a sprinter. So my senior year, going into my spring senior season of track and field, I hadn't gotten any offers yet for scholarships. So that's why I was like, all right, I'm going to the Navy. I don't have anything else to do. I'm not an academic by any means. I was your stereotypical like all-American little jock, you know. I didn't get that good of grades, but I was really good on the football field.
Good. That's not celebrated enough, honestly.
Right. Well, it's underplayed. Maybe, we don't.
We stereotype it.
Oh, for sure.
We stereotype it. The dumb jock, right?
And I was the dumb jock. Admittedly, I was.
But you're also the hero. Like, that's the thing. That shouldn't be belittling language at all.
So then going into that season, I was going into the state championships, and I still didn't have anything. And then right as that was happening, Sacramento State, where I'm from, Sacramento, California, CSUS, California Sacramento State University, offered me a scholarship to come compete the following year.
And you're already enlisted.
I was already enlisted in the Navy, planning on leaving that summer. I was going to be leaving to go to boot camp.
Wow.
And I got offered the scholarship. So I approached the Navy about it, like, hey, I got this offer to go compete at a D1 level in college. Like, this is a really big opportunity and a very unique opportunity for me to go and experience and compete at this level. And the Navy allowed me that exception to let me out of my contract to leave to go to boot camp and allow me to go compete.
Good on them.
At Sacramento State.
Okay, so how long did you stay there?
Oh, man. College was fun.
There's so many.
Which, when you say that, I want, for people who experienced it, the ones who have fun, you didn't do college. And I didn't do college.
You already said you didn't do a lot of drugs, so we've got that hurdle over.
So yeah, let me just, I'm glad I covered that basis. So it wasn't that. But I joined a fraternity, which my freshman year, which a lot of partying. So I'm a stereotype kind of guy. I'm the dumb jock, and now I'm the frat boy. So I'm just following that pattern. So even if I just told you that, I'm sure in your mind you could picture.
You know what I'm picturing right now?
What type of guy that was?
Monsters Inc. Like that. We just watched it with my 3-year-old.
Monsters University?
Yeah, Monsters University. I'm like, that's what I'm picturing right now. Dudes duct taped to the walls, trash everywhere.
Oh, you wouldn't believe. But it was a lot of fun. So it was track and field, because I was competing. Track and field, practicing for track and field and competing. Fraternity parties and hazing, because there was a lot of that.
I'm sure.
Don't let them tell you that there's not. And school.
Uh-huh.
I guess sleep and school.
Oh, yes, throw sleep in there.
In those priority, that being that order. Priority, in that order. So I ended up losing my scholarship.
Oh, because you have to keep your academics up. It's not just track and field.
No, it's not just like, okay, here's your just free for all. You're not back then we weren't professional athletes like they are now.
Yeah. Yeah, that just changed this year. Or in the last year where they pay college athletes.
Right, and where you could have tutors and like if I had an English class, like, you're going to write my paper for me because I'm getting, the school's paying me this huge amount of money. I'm an asset. So they're going to do everything they can to keep me in those classes. I didn't have that support.
Yeah.
Which led me to losing my scholarship because I couldn't keep my academics up.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight, I learned a lot from it and how to be my work ethic with where it should have been. Like, I wish I coach athletics now, and I get to take what I learned in my college experience and share that with the athletes that I coach now and my kids as they get to that age.
What would you say? What's your biggest piece of advice?
I guess seizing the opportunity. Like, I wish I would have realized the opportunity that I had, that I was getting school paid for, and I was able to compete in a sport that I loved. And I let that go for a Saturday night party. Like this to really, I guess, to find your priorities with what you value. And I didn't have that talk with anybody of, okay, this is a rare opportunity. You're gonna.
Would you have believed them though? I often wonder that as a parent. Like, I feel like I have to say stuff, and then I wonder if it lands.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But it would have been better than just go.
Yeah.
I barely passed high school, and now I'm going into college completely under prepared because I feel like I was almost set up for failure as a high school like superstar athlete, that I was kind of walked through high school like, hey, Jordan's got to play this Friday night. Can you get him some extra credit so he can get that grade up so he can still play?
Mm-hmm.
And there were lots of those opportunities that I remember those things kind of happening. Like, I remember in an economy class that I had my 1 year, the teacher, me going in and talking to the teacher and being like, hey, if I still have this D on Friday, I'm not going to be able to play.
Oh, wow.
Can
And
you
so they
help-
would just kind
Can you
of,
help me out? And then they would give me a side assignment to help boost my grade up for that week. So going into college, they don't allow those kind of things. You don't get those kind of exceptions. I can't charm my way into some extra credit like
did
I
you
could.
try?
Like I could. Oh, absolutely. I would spin stories to these professors that I'm sure I wasn't the only one that ever did that, but
I'm sure they heard it all before.
I would. But they worked for me when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I would come up with these stories, and especially with the female teachers, I was trying to be like this charming little young man, and it did not work. So that was my college experience. So once I lost my scholarship, I had no idea what I was going to do now. Like I was lost.
Well, was the Navy going to pick up right from there, or?
At that point, I was no longer in communication with the Navy.
Oh, okay.
Like they didn't extend my enlistment. They just, it was just written off that I never enlisted in the first place.
So they weren't expecting you to come back.
Erased the contract.
No way.
Which, if I would have been able to manage and stay in school, would have been beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Because after I finished college, I didn't know what my career was going to be. Because I was majoring in criminal justice, so my thought was that I was going to go be a police officer once I finished.
Mm-hmm.
Not go back into the military and become an officer.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh, that criminal justice degree is, my husband has one of those, and it's like, every time we're like driving down the street, he's like, did you know you don't have to stop in front of the stop sign in front of Walmart? That's not a police. I was like, what? How do you know all this?
Well, I guess side note, that's good for me to know now. I'm going to bob through
It's more of a suggestion.
I heard this wasn't real.
Don't take my word for it, please.
Slam their horn
stop at the stop signs.
The next person that slams their horn at me, I'll politely get out and go let them know. Like,
did you know?
Did you know?
It's not nice, but the police can't take me to jail for it.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so how did you get from not college, not Navy, now you're in Afghanistan? What happened?
After college failed and I was lost, I had no idea what my journey was going to be, what my path was forward. I admit that I was completely lost. I had no idea what I was going to do. So my fallback was my original plan. Like, okay, I'm going to go back and talk to the Navy. Like, hey, this is still what I really wanted to do. This looks like I'm still strong. I'm just finishing my freshman year of college track and field. I'm in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
So I go in, talk to the Navy recruiter again about becoming a SEAL because that's what I wanted to go play war like I did with my friends playing Sandlot. So,
but for real life.
But in real life, like
mm-hmm.
I want to go do that now. So I went to the Navy. I re-enlisted into the Navy in 2005 is when I re-enlisted. I graduated in 2004. At the end of 2005, after that track season, I re-enlisted into the Navy.
So it was less than a year of college.
Less than a year of college.
Wow.
I requalified for the SEAL contract because I was still in great shape. I passed all the mental, process that can he do this type of job stuff, and by June 5th, I went off to Chicago Great Lakes Navy boot camp to go be a Navy SEAL. And that was my plan.
So what happened from there? How long is boot camp?
I'm actually not sure.
It was just a blur.
Long enough, I suppose. And what's a bummer though is my first day at boot camp, and we're going through all like the paperwork and getting our uniforms, shaving our heads, like that whole gambit of what you see people going through with boot camp.
Yeah.
I got really dizzy and I started getting sick, and I got taken to the emergency room.
The first day?
The first day I was there.
You got to be thinking like, oh crap, this doesn't look good.
I was like, oh man, this is a really rough start.
Ooh.
And when I got to the hospital, they let me know that I had appendicitis.
Okay, so that's a one-time thing,
which
though.
Is really, really painful.
It's so bad.
I was not prepared for how painful that was going to be.
Oh, man.
Which would later come to bite me in other trainings that I would do later on in the military.
Did they end up removing your appendix?
Not at that point.
So they didn't then, but you did later?
I did later.
Wild. My daughter had appendicitis when she was 5, and she was throwing up for 10 days, and I had no idea what was going on. And finally,
I wish they would have removed it at that point because, like I said, later on in my story, this comes back.
It comes back to get you. Okay, so they hospitalize you or something.
Hospitalized me for the first 2 days of boot camp. So I missed the first initial run through with my boot camp class.
Mm-hmm.
So I show up later, and I now have to earn my position. with this group that's already kind of forged their bonds, and now I need to earn my way in.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I was so physically intimidating at that point, if I could toot my own horn on that one, I kind of pushed my way in. You guys are gonna like me or not?
I'm here.
And I got placed into a position of leadership too, which obviously I think helped me regain my position in my class.
Yeah.
And boot camp was sorry Navy, it was easy.
No.
Oh my goodness, was I expecting so much more?
Oh, okay.
Sorry guys.
Okay,
I'm bringing the tea.
For us mere mortals, I'm sure that would be.
Well, from what I was used to, the training physically wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Like, because you're learning to how to live on a ship.
Okay.
It's the Navy way.
Yeah. And this is in Chicago, so you're on the Great Lakes?
Chicago or Great Lakes. Yeah, that's where the boot camp is for Navy. So for that, I expected, what I see in like Marine Corps boot camps where they're like drill sergeants are like really grilling you. And there were moments of that, but not as frequent as I expected. Like how to properly label your clothes.
Uh-huh.
Like that was like a whole day was how we labeled and stamped our clothes and our uniforms to keep track of our own stuff and how to fold our uniforms correctly.
You make it sound like home ec class.
It, in some ways, sorry Navy, it was.
We love you, Navy.
I wanted guns. I wanted to, that's what I expected.
I'm thinking NCIS. That's what I think of when I think of Navy, not home ec class.
Okay. Well, I mean they're doing their profession. Once I move on, then things got a little harder.
Yeah. Okay.
So I finished boot camp. That was fun. And then I go to San Diego. Have you ever been to Coronado and you see those guys running on the beach? Those are the guys that are in BUDS training, which is basic underwater demolition SEAL training. Mm-hmm. So I go to BUDS, and I'm a BUDS student now. And that's where the Navy boot camp.
Did it get real?
That's where it got real. That's where it was hard. And all the documentaries that people have seen about BUDS underplay how difficult that training is. I've never been colder, more physically tired in my entire life. And I went into that way too confident.
Really?
Because I was still in really good shape and it's from what I've heard percentage wise, guys that go in like I did that are the guys in really good shape that have these illustrious careers in college athletics are typically the ones that do the worst. Really? Is it because of the ego like you were talking about or the ego or it's harder than we think it is. So mentally that's where it hits us like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be for me. Yeah. Everything's been doable or easy. Right. And it's typically a lot of the older guys that have families because they know what they're in there for. Like they already have like, I'm doing this for my family. Mm-hmm. Whereas I was doing it just for me without any real reason to do it other than I wanted to do this job. But I went through 3 classes in BUDS. My first class was pneumonia. I developed pneumonia. God. Swim-induced pulmonary edema. It's when you get too much sand and salt water in your lungs. Oh. So that was my first SEAL class. I think I was class 273. And then in class 274 was when my appendicitis would return and my appendix burst. It ruptured. You can go septic and die from that. Which was, oh my gosh, the most painful experience. That was terrifying because I didn't know what was happening. I was dizzy. I was throwing up. Ugh. It was on a weekend. I was at a hotel with my girlfriend. I had no idea. And I was like, you got to call the ambulance because something's wrong with me. And so I spent the rest of her vacation in San Diego in the hospital. And they removed it at that point. And they removed my appendix. And I remember yelling at one of the nurses in the emergency room that I need help. Like I'm in so much pain. Help me. Yeah. And then they did their MRI or whatever on me and rushed me into emergency surgery because it can't go septic. It can't kill you. Mm-hmm. So I went to emergency surgery, spent a few days in the hospital recovering from that. And then right after I recovered a few days in the hospital from that, I went back to BUDS, back to training and back into the grind. Oh my gosh. Were some of the same guys there that had seen you go into the hospital the first time? I mean, at this point, the classes move on, so I don't see those guys anymore. Was it the same guys? It was the same guys. Jeez Louise. I started a new group of guys every time. So, and you have to think, so there's in-doc, which is 3 weeks, and then the first phase is 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the 3 weeks of first phase is when Hell Week is, with the notorious Hell Week. Oh, I've read Jocko's book about Hell Week. So I've made it to Hell Week each in the first 2 prior classes. So I'm going into my 3rd class now, like, I know what to expect. I have an advantage over everyone else going into this because I've already experienced most of it. So I'm going to do better because I have the advantage now.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong. Wrong.
Mm.
So my third class, I make it to Hell Week again, and I'm doing really well. I'm performing really well. I made a good reputation of myself as someone that works hard and performs well in the tasks and challenges that we have as far as the training goes. And we're in Hell Week, and we're doing an elephant run or a run to the North Island fence and back, and my knee just starts killing me. Like I've never felt this kind of pain in my leg before, and I remember running through my head like, not again.
Ugh. Because you've been taken out medically a couple times.
I've already been pulled medically from training, and I knew that I won't get another chance. Like the first time, okay. Second time, I couldn't do anything about my appendix.
That's.
I never quit.
Yeah.
So we'll keep them around, but
yeah,
they only allow so many times for you to do that. So I knew that I wasn't going to get another opportunity if I didn't make it through this, and if I had to have surgery or something, I was going to. So during that run, my leg is killing me, and it pays to be a winner. And as I'm coming to the finish line, if he ever sees this or reads my book, I talk about Instructor Delis Reyes.
Mm.
He's standing there, and the 3 guys in front of me finish, and they get to go rest because it pays to be a winner. If you win, you get to rest.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, it's SEAL
going.
training. You don't get the rest.
Oh my gosh.
So I finished. I'm like, all right, I'm like third. I'm like, okay, I have to be one of the timed winners.
Yeah.
And tells me to stand there, and everyone that comes in behind me, I tell them to go hit the surf and get wet and sandy. So everyone comes in past me, and I tell them go get wet and sandy, go stand by the boats, and they all do it. And then the last person comes, and I'm still standing there. I didn't get any further instructions on what to do after I've told everybody. So I don't want to assume that I know what to do.
Right.
Because then worse things happen. So then he comes back over, same instructor, and he gets on me and makes me go get wet and sandy. And I'm like, I didn't get to go rest.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go stand. And that broke me mentally.
So why did he get on you?
Because that's part of the game.
Just for no good reason, just for fun.
Just because the SEAL training, looking back, is about seeing how far somebody is willing to go to complete the task.
Yeah.
If I would have had the mindset of like, this is a game, he's testing me to see how strong I am, I probably would have handled it better. But instead, I was just so angry.
How could you handle it better? You just after all that you've been through.
And I'm 19 years old.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm still trying to survive, and I don't have that mental experience yet of that military experience. This is the first military experience I have, boot camp, and then this.
Well, and that's the thing that caught me on the bottom of your website. You have this one phrase, and the thing that stuck out to me the most was, you just don't quit. That's the only way you lose, is don't quit. And that's the theme that keeps popping up over and over and over again. Appendicitis the first time, don't quit. Appendicitis the second time, don't quit. Even if college doesn't work out, you don't quit. And you kept coming back, and you just went and got wet and sandy, right? You just don't quit. And then I want to get to the point where we're on the top of that wall in Afghanistan, because
I'll get there.
That's a story that, golly, okay, so take us there.
I guess I'll expedite.
Bring us in.
SEAL training for you. The don't quit part, it's the hardest thing for me to admit. When I wrote it, it was really hard to tell people that I quit. My body was giving out on me mentally. Once my body started to give up mentally, I couldn't push through that physical. I couldn't David Goggins it with my broken shins.
Was your shin broken?
No. My shin wasn't broken.
Oh, I was like, what? Yeah.
So,
girl, I know Goggins though. He was like, I'm going to do 500 more push-ups with a broken shin.
Right.
I'm like, okay, David.
So I had to quit. And at that point I was taken out of training, and I had to find a new profession.
Yeah.
Because I was still under contract with the Navy. But because I had built such a good reputation for myself throughout that training of never quitting and having all these things happen and performing well at every level that I was getting pushed to, as one of the top swimmers, one of the top guys in the running, one of the top guys in the obstacle course timed events, I built this good reputation of myself. So when it came to finding a new profession, one of the instructors recommended to me that I go into EOD.
What's EOD?
EOD is explosive ordnance disposal.
Oh, boy.
It is the best kept secret in the Navy.
Oh boy.
because it's very similar to what SEALs do, but I got paid a little more than they did. So
So EOD.
jokes on. We just don't have as many movies written about us.
Well, are you talking like bomb suits with the big collars?
That is the bomb suits.
That's geez.
Yeah, if you see us running, run faster.
Shoot, man.
So they recommended I go into EOD. So I go and I interview with the EOD staff.
What are you walking in like, let me go neutralize explosive devices? That sounds fun.
Because I have to get accepted into the program before they'll send me.
Yeah.
So I go in and I interview with them. Like, why should we accept you if you quit? You're just going to go quit this too. So in this discussion with them of why I don't think that I'd quit, I guess I was charming enough to...
It comes out
convincingly enough to let them give me a shot, and I went off to EOD school in Florida.
I think it's proof that you're not quitting because you're there. You're pivoting, but not quitting.
Right. And I actually, it's funny that you say that. I talk about pivoting in my book, whereas, all right, this way didn't work. Instead of quitting, how can I change my angle to still finish the goal?
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't realize you had a book before today. I need to read it. I feel bad that I haven't read it before we sat down and talked.
I should have brought you one, so I apologize.
Don't. I'm gonna go get one. I'm gonna go buy one.
My Audible just dropped a day ago, so you can get on that too.
Did you record it on Audible?
I did. It is my voice.
Hell yeah.
So I was really, really excited about that.
I'm gonna put that in the comments. I'm gonna put links for that in the comments.
When I go to EOD school, we already know my background now with academics. Not my strongest suit.
Wait, so now do you have to go into chemistry now?
Oh, I get into a whole list of things.
Oh my gosh.
So I get accepted to go to ED school. I get there and I'm like, all right, this is it. This is the path that life led me on. This is the new goal. This is how I'm going to get to chase that dream and be that young kid playing war.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know it at the time, but EOD school is also one of the most difficult academic schools the military.
Oh God,
the military offers, from nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons, IEDs, you name it, underwater explosives. I become a specialist in all of them, an expert in all things explosives. So
you're chemistry, engineering,
nuclear
mechanics,
science.
Why didn't you become a rocket scientist? How about that? Does that sound fun?
Yeah, hey, how did college? Oh, you failed out of college? Oh yeah, let's come do this. You'll be great for this.
I shouldn't laugh. It's just so wild.
Well, looking back, it is funny. Like, how on earth am I here?
Oh my gosh.
I remember thinking that sometimes while I was in this class. I was like, I have no idea, but I will practice and I will figure this out. So in BUDS, they simulate wartime experiences to get you to make sure you could pass that stress level through the physical challenges and activities. That is why I think that BUDS is as hard. It's to push you to see how mentally you can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
EOD school, to create that atmosphere of stress. If you fail a test once, you get one more chance to pass it. If you fail a test twice, you get kicked out of school.
You're out. Done.
And this is nuclear weapons, all this stuff. So if you fail, you're done. And you can't take any of the material home because it's mostly secret stuff that we don't want to share with people.
Yeah.
So I have during the daytime to study while I'm at school, and that's it.
Oh my gosh.
Hoping I remember it the next day to pass. And it was a miracle. I passed every single test I took the first try.
No,
so I never had to retake any test or put myself at risk of being kicked out of school. Which, looking back, still surprises me. Like, good job, Jordan.
Pat on the back there.
I am capable of doing this school stuff.
The college is just too basic for you. You need nuclear physics.
Right. I needed some real challenge.
Yeah.
Put my life on the line with this.
God, now I can figure it out.
If you don't figure this out, you die. Because ultimately, that's what EOD is.
Well, yeah. And lots for the people.
Explosives and yeah.
You and everybody else.
Yeah, everyone around me is smoked now too if I don't do this correctly.
Yeah. So you thrive under that kind of pressure.
I loved that pressure.
Yeah.
So EOD school, I did very, very well at. I passed out of there and I was assigned to EOD Mobile Unit 1 out of San Diego. And that was the first mobile unit that I was assigned to. So out of EOD school, I went to San Diego to become part of EOD Mobile Unit 1. Across the street from BUDS, where I was so traumatically, I was back in the same place. Getting to live now the life that I wanted to, that I didn't get to accomplish there, I was now still doing it.
Yeah.
Here.
Because you didn't quit.
Because I didn't quit.
Dang.
And BUD and EOD school, was difficult, but it was still fun and exciting for me. And I was now getting to go do that job, and it was so much fun.
So here's why I love that so much is because I'm that's not my pathway. Thank the Lord that's not my pathway. But I have big, scary stuff that I'm working on. I have big, scary things that I don't know how I'm going to do. And it takes guts just to talk about it out loud. And there's lots of possibility. And I'm sure lots of failures in my way to get there. But I mean, that just keeps it. You've got this bug in my brain now of like, pivot, don't quit, pivot, don't quit, pivot, don't quit. And you'll get there. And because you've got this, like literally you're on the sand where you wanted to be, but the pathway was just different.
Well, and learning through all those failures would ultimately, and I keep kind of leading the witness with where we're eventually going, all of these failures and barriers that kept getting in place to me that I had to learn how to overcome and pivot would help me in the future with what eventually happened to me.
Yeah.
I'll fast forward again, working with the EOD Mobile Unit 1, most of my career was doing underwater explosives. But again, I performed at a level that made a good reputation for myself, that I got pulled out of the underwater stuff and placed on one of the first Navy EOD teams to deploy and attach to the Army Rangers. So I was deploying with Army Rangers, doing special forces stuff, kicking doors in. What I wanted to do as a kid, I'm now doing. I'm this like real deal stuff, real weapons. Like this is it. Like this is everything I dreamt out as a kid, and I'm going to do this in Afghanistan. So I did my full workup and deployed with 3rd Bat Ranger Battalion, the 75th Rangers out of Fort Benning, Georgia, and I deployed with them to Tirana, Afghanistan in the very end of November of 2010, landing in Afghanistan December 8th of 2011, or I got my time, not 2010, 2011. November of 2011, I deployed to Tirana, Afghanistan, and we land in country December 8th of 2011.
Oh.
And it was surreal.
Yeah, what was that
stepping
like?
Off that plane, like, wow, I'm here. Like, this isn't the news. I'm not seeing this on the TV anymore. This is real.
You're in the thick of it.
This is real. This is real threat now. Like, this is real. Out just over those walls are people that want to kill me. That hate me.
I would want to turn tail and hop right back on that plane.
But I had one of the things that I enjoyed most about EOD is my job with my team was to keep them safe, and so that they could accomplish the mission without getting hurt. And I took a lot of pride in keeping my team safe. Like, I was the protector of my team.
Yeah, that's the protector element.
I mentioned earlier that I'm very protective.
Yeah.
And that was me living it in real life, being a protector.
Yeah. I have so much admiration for that. That's my dad's role in life too, with his little brother, and now with us. He had 10 kids.
Oh man, that's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. And and my husband has that too. That it's just this energy of like, I got you, and it's my job to have you. Right. And that's my only sole focus and purpose.
And I'm very proud of that. That's something that I'm very proud of, my instinctual design like that. And I try, even though I'm no longer active military, I still try to find areas in my life that I can fulfill that need to be protective. So I'm in. Let's go back to what happened. So I land in country in December of 2011, and what our task was HVTs, which are high value targets. So we would get intel briefs, and then we would go out on missions to find and capture specific bad guys.
So we're talking like the wall at NCIS. If you watch that show, like those are your high value targets.
Those are who we were going after.
Can you tell me who it was?
I cannot.
Okay. I won't ask.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I mean, I could make up a name, but
Christopher.
John.
Good old John Wick.
Right.
Let's call him John Wick.
No, I can capture him. He'd shoot me back. I've seen what he can do.
Don't give that man a pencil.
No, I don't want to fight that guy.
So your mission is, oh man, that's the stuff that they make movies about. How accurate are the movies? I have to ask.
It was so much fun.
Are they even close?
Not even close.
Not even close. Okay, that's what I figured.
haven't seen very many movies that kind of show it as well as it felt.
Yeah.
Or as real as it was.
I imagine that part of that is by design, though, because it's war. It's traumatizing.
And war is traumatizing, and it is very addictive.
Yeah.
So
Addictive. I've never heard it described that way.
Oh man, I think of adrenaline as a drug. Like that's why people skydive. That's why people do those kind of things, because it's that rush is something that you chase.
Yeah.
And that's what war is.
Yeah, and you're doing
the best thing I've seen show that is Hurt Locker. When I think it's Renner, I don't remember his first name.
Oh, I don't know.
The guy that plays the Arrow guy in Marvel.
Oh, yeah. Hawkeye?
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
His role in that movie where he's like, loves the rush of war, where he's like, I'm not going to wear the bomb suit. I'm just going to walk down there on it. And like that rush of doing that is, that's the best way I've seen, like that feeling is how it felt. So that's what we're doing. We were going out and operating, and we operated from the day we landed. We operated every single night. We'd get a mission. We'd go out every single night. So the schedule looked like this. We would be out all night long because we operated at night, because the U.S. and military owns the night. We'd go out and do our operation all night long under the cover of darkness, sleep for a few hours once we got back, wake up, hit the gym while we could, get our workout in, because we're all weird gym rats like that. As if the night wasn't hard enough. I was
going to say,
let's go lift as hard as we can and then do it again.
Oh my gosh.
So we get our workout in, eat as much as we could, come back, start doing intel briefs on what that night's mission was going to be. And as the bomb guy, I'm going over like, okay, what do I need to bring?
Are you first man in on those scenarios?
More often than not, I'm the first guy in.
Yeah.
Because if there's a booby trap or there's a bomb, it's my job to clear that so my team can continue the mission.
Yeah.
Which again, going back to the protective thing of me, I want to be the first one in. Like, let me be the one that takes the hit if there's one, so that everyone behind me is okay and safe.
Dang.
So
golly.
Operating every night, and then mission, and go out and you do your thing, and then just repeat that cycle every day. So I landed on December 8th, and on December 16th, same routine, normal brief, and we get told that this is that it would be a softer target, meaning we won't get as much resistance.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted me to get eyes on inside of the compound. Think of like these big walls that are around these houses.
Mm-hmm.
We have fences, they have walls.
Right.
And there are vehicles inside of this place.
Yeah.
I don't get the full intel, but he might be he might make bombs. Like this guy might be a bomb builder.
Okay.
But we want to get those guys.
Yeah.
So then there's a high threat of bombs being in this compound because he's protecting himself like we would.
Right. It's booby trap bombs.
Booby trap bombs.
Yeah.
So they wanted me to get eyes on these vehicles inside of the compound, because if one vehicle's weighted really heavy one way or the other, I know something's inside that vehicle. Now I'm going to be cautious of that. I need to check that out before my team infills and walks into a booby trap or an ambush. Where my team is in there, they set off this bomb and take out a majority of my team.
Yeah.
I can't let that happen.
Yeah.
So I get up, I remember I climb up the wall to get my visual on these cars. And I remember radioing to my team or to my team leader that the vehicles looked clear.
Yeah.
I don't see anything in the vehicles. I don't see any cables that would make me suspect that there were any IEDs within these vehicles, or VBIEDs, vehicle-borne IEDs. There was nothing that gave me that impression that it wasn't safe to move in to infill. And that's the last thing I remember of that whole night, that moment. It looks clear, done. That's it.
And that's the last thing
That's the last thing I remember of that night.
So what happened?
What happened in that moment, as I'm telling them it's clear, an enemy combatant walked out, or our HVT walked out with unfortunately, his wife in front of him as a shield.
No.
And with an AK-47 opens fire on me up on top of the wall.
Did he target you, or was he just gunshotting and blasting?
He may have.
You're getting secondhand story at this point because you're out.
At this point, I don't remember. So everything I've been told is everything I tell about the story is what I've been told.
Yeah.
Looking back, I probably silhouetted myself with the moonlight behind me, or he saw the green glow of my night vision goggles on my face, and that's what he aimed at. Everything in hindsight is 2020, right? So looking back, I should have stayed lower and stayed closer to the wall and been hard target and made myself a harder target to shoot. But nonetheless, he opened fire on me, and I silhouetted myself. I was up too tall over the wall. But at this point, I hadn't been shot at yet, so I wasn't prepared to be shot at yet. My mind is still, I'm that naive, invincible, still young man that doesn't think that it can happen to me. It's going to happen to somebody else. It won't happen to me.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen to me. And in that fire exchange, That AK-47 7.62 round struck me about an inch above my left eyebrow, going through my helmet and all the way through my head and out through the back of my helmet. So it went all the way through my head. I have my helmet. There's a little hole in the front and a big, huge hole blown out of the back. And because of that adrenaline rush that I attributed to and muscle memory of all the training we did, I was able to still bring my weapon back down on target. And I put 30 rounds.
So you're firing after you take a shot to the head?
I put 30 rounds back down range, putting the target that shot me down too. I wish I remembered it because it sounds so cool.
Oh my gosh. David's face right now, he's like, oh, my son's producing this. Like,
I took the shot and was able to put down the target before he was able to shoot anybody else. So again, I'm very proud of that protective role I had as the EOD tech.
That's in your DNA.
That I took the shot, and I will take that shot every single time if it guaranteed that the men behind me that trusted me were safe and okay. I'll take that hit so that everyone else is okay.
Oh my
every time.
Gosh, do you know what happened to his wife?
Those are stories. What happened to his wife and what happened to him, those are stories that I can't tell.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you guys, but
there's so much tragedy in war. It's the worst.
There are no winners in war. There aren't.
Can you just underline that, guys? Like, oh
exclamation
my
point.
Gosh.
Take it from somebody who's been there.
Oh my gosh.
So the bullet round through my head after the adrenaline wore off and there's no longer a threat. I fell off the wall, which is probably about 20 plus feet up. And I had this young Army private holding my ladder for me, and boom,
you land
this
right on
body
it.
lands right next to him. What I think is cool about unfortunately, this story, and I think it's cool. I could say it's cool now.
Nothing is cool in the moment.
Nothing is cool about this, but what I find interesting is he said it looked like I was floating as I fell.
Well, see, that's the little God forces, right? Like, oh man, the fact that you're sitting here in my house, in my studio, is just multiple acts of God. Oh, multiple.
Totally agree with you.
So you were lowered angelically to the ground.
And within seconds, because the gunfire went off, so now we know something's going on. So my team now knows that we're engaged. And then when I fell, Steve, green side wall,
this is your
medic.
The guy at the bottom of the ladder.
This is now the medic calling, or him calling that we need a medic to green side wall because we plan where things are.
Yeah.
I'm on the green wall, so my medic assigned for that night, Robert Moreno, gets the call that, we have an injury and we need medic. And he traverses over to me and he's on me probably within seconds of me actually falling and hitting the ground. How long after the gunfire, I couldn't tell you. Because I don't know how long I was actually up there and how long it took. But I hit the ground and my medic is on me within seconds, Robert Moreno. He's my hero. And he's on me and he starts doing his head to toe on me. And again, I don't remember any of this. This is
you're out.
This is what he told me. And if you read my book, I have a whole chapter that he wrote.
Really? I love that.
Of his perspective of what happened.
Wow.
So, and it's my favorite part of the book. Of my own book is what he wrote. But he's taking care of me and he's doing the head to toe and I guess I'm telling him like, hey man, my head really hurts. And I'm at this point.
So you're talking?
At this point I'm covered in blood and I'm talking to him, telling him that my head hurts.
And he's like, I can see that.
Well, he still didn't know because I still had my helmet on.
Oh, you had your helmet on.
So it wasn't until he's doing his head to toe that he takes my helmet off and he sees that half my head is blown off. And he's like,
and you're sitting here telling him, I have a headache.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my.
And he's like, well, yeah, that's why.
There's your problem. Like, what?
And he's trying to stop the bleeding and get the gauze in. And he gets word from our team leader, our commander for that evening to just pack it and call, and we call it a loss. Like I'm a loss of life. I'm just a man down for that.
But you're alive still.
But we got to move on. So pack it so to stop the bleeding and we'll take him. Like at this point, we're not going to worry about his quality of life because we have to finish our mission.
Yeah.
But Moreno, to his credit, says, no, I'm not going to lose Jordan. I'm going to save Jordan's life. And he stayed with me from the ground to traversing over the terrain to where the helicopter eventually came down and picked us up, to flying on the helicopter that dropped us off. Luckily, the helicopter that dropped us off hadn't gone too far away from us when the call came all across the air that we needed medevac. That the same helicopter that just dropped us off was able to come back down and pick me up, to getting me off the ground faster and getting me to medical attention as fast as they could. But this is not a medevac now. This is just a regular helicopter without equipment. So Moreno gets me on this helicopter without any equipment, keeps me alive, tips me over as I throw up, clears my mouth of vomit so that I keep breathing, and constantly like, Jordan, are you okay? And I'm squeezing his hand because I'm coding at this point. Every time we go up in altitude, I code, my heart stops. And then they bring it down and he would get me going again. So this lasted all the way until we got to our base, the hospital, to unload me and let the medics and the hospital staff take care of me. So from the ground to the helicopter to the medical staff, Robert Moreno never left my side and never let his hand leave from where I was bleeding out of. He kept his hand and stopped the bleeding the whole flight, never leaving my side, never letting go, until eventually they had to pull him off of me for him to let go and let the medical staff then take over the responsibility, because he was so enthralled in keeping me alive and saving my life.
I'm tearing up because of that, because it is my prayer, this protective energy that we have, right? That you especially have. Now the protector's down. And it is my lifelong prayer that when, as a mom, I can't be there for my kids, that they have a Moreno. That they have someone that says, no, I'm not giving up.
I like that you framed it that way, that they don't have a Moreno. I'm giving that a verb. Because if I could explain what it's like to be in the military to somebody, that is the storyline that I would use. Me taking the bullet for my team and Robert Moreno willing to risk his rank and his own accomplishments to tell his boss, our commander, no, I'm staying with Jordan. I'm going to keep him. And staying with me, not giving up on me. Because what he told me was, in prior deployments, he has seen similar wounds and they didn't make it. So when he saw it happen to me, he was not going to let it happen again.
Ugh.
Willing to risk everything and put so much time and energy into saving your teammate. And I say teammate, but I really mean like brother, because that's what we all were to each other.
Yeah.
Like you're fighting for your family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he is my hero. And he saved my life that night. I'm here to talk about it.
Wow. I'm sure you're still in touch with him.
Oh yeah. We've gone to Disneyland together with all my kids so they can meet him, and
yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
God. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I was talking to my daughter this morning as I was bragging to all my kids about who we were going to have over and what we were going to talk about today. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, I'm such a baby. My legs hurt from the gym. And my daughter, she's sitting in the car next to me, and I told her about your amputation. She's like, oh, legs. My legs hurt. I'm not even right? Like, I can't complain about Jack anymore when I hear stories like this, because it's just, God, I hope that we will never know this.
My response to that is, everyone's experience is different. Like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I couldn't go through what you have. I hope you don't.
Yeah.
But I bet you could.
Holy crap. Go back 15 seconds and listen to that again. Oh my gosh, I hope you don't, but I bet you could.
Because we are so much stronger than and everyone's experience is unique. Like the paper cut, I'm hypothetically giving you a paper cut this morning.
Right.
Like in that moment, it hurts.
Yeah.
But it doesn't but because I've been through more pain doesn't make it not hurt.
Yeah.
And everyone always compares their pain to mine. Like my pain doesn't take away your pain, your experience. Which too many people push their stuff off because somebody else had it worse.
Or some people aren't empathetic because they've had it worse. Like, oh, you haven't been what I've been through, so you don't even know pain. Right?
Right. I try not to be that guy.
You're not anything like that.
No,
I've met people like that.
Because I have had major ups and downs. So when my daughter gets hurt, like the bruise on her knee that she just had, scraping her knee, falling off her bike, like that hurts. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, you know.
That's the biggest thing in her world in that moment.
In that moment, that hurts.
Yeah.
Like that's just, but her dad doesn't have legs. She's not thinking my dad doesn't have a leg. I need to toughen up. She's thinking, oh man, my knee hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, cause I see other vets who have been injured worse than me. And I'm not like, oh man, I'm such a weenie because he has it worse than me.
I only got shot in the head.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So
there's no comparison at all. And that's what I love about the work that you do and the presentations that you give and who you are as a person is it's, I mean, we joked in the beginning, like I could talk about me all day long, but really it's talking about others. It's how you're supporting others. It's how you're saying, no, this is real for you right now.
Well, I am where I am because I still want to be. I joined the military to be a part of something big, and I still want to continue that mission. I spent 2 months in a coma, learned how to walk again, learned how to talk again after I was told I would never walk or talk again. And retaught myself how to walk a few times after I woke up, and I had to walk on a paralyzed. Left side of your brain controls right side of your body, so the bullet paralyzed my arm, my leg. Mm-hmm. So I had to relearn how to do everything again. I still can't use my arm, but I could walk.
It's essentially a stroke.
Symptom-wise, I am very much like a stroke.
Yeah. I had a science teacher in high school who had a stroke, and he was unable to use his left arm. He was so funny about it, though. He would put a marker between his fingers, and he's like, watch, I can draw a perfect circle, and he would throw his arm against the whiteboard. He was such an awesome dude. He was riding a bike to work every day.
I would love about that because you make light of your injury. It's easier to deal with. Oh, I do that in my own life.
He goes freaking snowboarding. I can't even snowboard. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have full use of all of my limbs and I can't snowboard. And here you are cutting it up on the mountain. If I
could,
please.
Kind of through my recovery in the hospital, I spent a year as an inpatient. I was trached, so I had to learn how to talk again.
Oh my gosh.
And the left side of your brain is typically where your speech is. Like if you look at Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, when she was shot, she struggled really hard with relearning how to speak. Wow. And a lot of stroke patients struggle with speaking.
My grandfather never learned to speak
again. As I stuttered through that. But because I'm so right brain dominant and I've been left-handed my whole life, fortunately, that my speech developed on both sides of my brain.
You're kidding.
So I make up a micro percentage of the world's population who are left-handed and have dual hemispheric language.
Whoa.
So you were talking about little blessings and God's hand in our lives.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better example than that.
Oh my gosh. All of the pieces that had to come together to make your life, the fact that you're here even possible.
So I get through, I'm recovering and I'm regaining and I'm practicing and learning all these new skills to live again and try to be the best me that I could still be to my family and my kids. November of 2022, after all of the COVID and all that drama and scary stuff, 22 veterans commit suicide of my generation every day. That's the statistic. 22 a day.
We can afford that.
I got the phone call November of 2022 that Steve Cooper, my partner on that deployment that I was on when I was injured, that was a Navy EOD guy that I spent my whole career with, killed himself. And that was the single most devastating news I've ever received. I have had friends that got hurt, but nothing hurt me more than getting that phone call that Steve Cooper took his life. But that changed the whole game and story for me. I was no longer going to live passively as someone who hurt and got better. I was now going to involve myself in this so that other men and women who were struggling, especially out of the military, had an example to look at of, he did it, I could do it. And that's when I started speaking. That's when I decided to write a book. I wanted to reach all of the Steve Coopers I could that didn't see how their lives were going to get better after the military. Because this was through his military transition to civilian life that he ended up taking his life. So I wanted to find all the Coopers I could to show them life is still so much worth living. Like as bad as it's been really hard. My injuries are hard. It makes things a lot harder. All the things I used to enjoy, I struggle doing now.
Well, it's not even just your injuries. I remember when we were at your house, you told me about your family and how that all changed too. Like,
oh yeah,
dude,
that was hard.
Yeah,
but at this point, I have like a 3-4-year-old son, and
What would you say if there was a Cooper listening to this episode right now? What would you want to tell him?
I guess it's been the theme so far we're talking about. Don't give up. I have learned through my experience that the barriers and hardships that we experience is one step in front of the greatest thing you've ever done.
Explain that.
Everything I've been through, I wanted to quit so many times. I remember there was one time before I met Sarah, my wife, that I was like, I'm done. I don't want it. I'm in pain all the time. I want to quit. And I didn't. And it was that evening that I went to an event and met Sarah, who has been the single greatest blessing for me in my life.
She's an angel.
Than I ever could have imagined.
That woman's a walking angel.
She is.
The short time I had to meet her, I was like, dang.
What she's put up with me. She is.
I wouldn't want to let you go snowboarding, not going to lie. I'm like, you're doing what? No.
So there's that example. And then there's taking the risk to share my story and write my book.
Yeah.
And be super vulnerable, which is one of the scariest things I've ever done, is to be as vulnerable and share my story to the world. Here's all the worst things that have happened to me. Here's why I am the way I am. That was really scary. But what that has led is to me meeting people where they tell me, my story helped them and it changed their life. I gave them encouragement and hope that what they were going through was worth it and to keep fighting and to not quit. When I get those kind of conversations, that makes that barrier of being afraid to take that risk to be vulnerable so worth it, where that's not a fear for me at all anymore, because it is worth the reward that I know is there now. Whereas before I didn't know that was there. It was a scary step to take. Once I took that step, it's like, this is everything I wanted to be. I'm now a part of something. I'm still part of my team now. I'm no longer active duty military, but now my new team is the men and women who are like me, who have experienced hardship and gone through difficult things. That now I am an example for them of, if you don't quit, life is still worth living and things are going to be.
So what's the next big thing you're working on? What are you excited about building right now?
Oh man, there is one thing that I have been planning on and doing for a few years now that I have yet to actually take the step to do.
I watched the smile creep across your face, man. I'm excited to hear this.
I smile because I've been saying it for a long time, and I between my kids and life, it's hard to schedule really big things that are going to take a few months to finish. I have been planning to ride because I taught myself how to ride an up-wheel, two-wheel bike. I strap my hand to the handlebar and I clip in and
my gosh.
And I taught myself how to ride an upright bike. I want to ride my bicycle from San Diego, where my career started, and ride it to Bethesda, Maryland, 3,200 some miles.
Gosh.
To Bethesda, Maryland, where my career ended. And I want to make that bicycle ride. To further prove the point that just because I am hurt, I am still doing great things.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And that even though I was told I would never do this again, I am proving you that I can.
I am just like on the edge of my seat right now, because in about 2 hours, James Lawrence, Iron Cowboy, is going to be sitting in that chair.
Oh, shoot.
And I need to introduce you guys.
I need some guidance on that, because he had help along the country with his 50.
Yeah. I'll put you guys in a three-way text.
His book was an encouragement for me to write mine too.
Yeah.
So I would love to get in contact with him.
I got his number. I'll put you in a three-way text. Yeah. Because that
is my goal. And my original plan with that was kind of like, I wanted to bring a bottle of sand from San Diego to the doctors that told me I would never walk again, out of spite, because I was angry. But what I've learned through my recovery, and because this, like I said, this has been an idea that's been brewing for a long time.
Yeah.
When I was still early in my recovery, that was my anger.
Yeah.
I was angry at them. But that has evolved to, I don't even care about what the doctors are telling me. I want to bring that bottle of sand and a plaque so that the next patient that goes through that hall that sees what I did.
Yeah.
As an example, like, wow, he did that after he was in the same hospital bed I was. Because when I woke up out of that coma, I had no idea what my life was going to be like. How am I going to be a dad again? How am I going to live? And I want the next guy going through the hall to see that and be like, oh, wow, I could do that.
You do that, man. I will drive an RV. I'll commit to some mileage and I will drive an RV and be like, okay, Let's do this. That would be freaking epic.
So that's the plan. And our friend Glenn.
Yeah. I was just thinking Glenn would do it too.
Was supposed to ride with me like a year ago.
Yeah.
And then he got in his bicycle accident.
Oh,
so
man.
Unfortunately so I say I've been planning on this for a long time. That was part of the plan, was we were going to do it. And we were just going to knock it out and I was going to have it done. So now I blame Glenn for not letting me get my bicycle ride done. But that is the next big goal for me, is to complete that.
Oh.
Aside from all the things that bring me the most joy with being a dad and loving on my kids. Because one of the biggest things that pushed me through my recovery was being dad. When I got shot, my son was 2 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And I wanted nothing more than to just be dad again. Just to be a good dad, take care of my boy. I have 3 more kids now. That's why I have 4 kids total. And nothing brings me more joy than those kids. So in the mornings when I wake up and I'm like, oh, I don't want to put my leg back on again. And I'm tired, my body hurts, because I hurt all the time. I'm in pain all day, every day. So when I wake up and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this again, my kids will come in the door because my daughter wakes up early every morning. She's my oldest. She's the oldest. I'm like, when do we get to the age where you want to sleep all the time? Because I hear parents complain about that their kids don't wake up on time for school. I'm like, I want that stage. Because your son's over there.
He's like, XP, like, baby.
I'm there. But now I look forward to that moment when I wake up and she comes in. I'm like, okay, I'll get my leg on because now I get to be the dad that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And this is the goal now.
Dang.
I pivoted. Like we've been talking about pivot. So my goal is change.
Yeah. Well, it has been more than an honor to sit with you and to hear the story. And I'm grateful to share it with the people that are listening, because I know that there's a Cooper listening. I know that there's a college kid listening. And I know that there's people that need the experiences that you've been through, the knowledge that you've been through, and your wall is going to be full of thank you cards.
Well, I will say that I remember waking up when I was trying to figure out what my life was going to be like. I searched for examples of like, who did this?
Yeah.
Who's been through this? Who can I look to for guidance? And I read Gabby Gifford's book after I woke up, and I really leaned on her experience and that she survived it. But she was the only example I could find. But I wanted to find somebody that looked like me, that operated like me, that was military, that was a dad. How did he do it? And I couldn't find any of those examples, which is a big reason why I want to be that example now.
Yeah. If you don't see it, you have to create it.
So I saw a need, and hopefully I'm filling that need.
You are. Have no doubt in your mind. Like, even if there was no one listening now, it's just me and my 13-year-old boy who can hear you and hear your mission and hear your message right now. This is why I do this podcast, is for these kids. That's why I loop them in and make him my producer. That's why I do all this stuff. Because if no one else listens, you're blessing me and my family. And I want you to know how much that matters.
He's waving at me like I haven't been sitting here talking to him for a while.
Any parting words?
Thank you for the opportunity. And to anybody that, another big reason I am where I am is because I have a fabulous support network that I've been able to create and lean on when I need to. Because if I said that I'm great now and life is easy, that would be a lie. Like, there are absolutely those days that I wake up and I hate where I'm at. I hate that I can't go for a run around the block. I can't run along with my kids at the playground. Like, there are days that those break me. But I don't quit and I stay with it. And I hope that people that see me and hear me, when you're in those moments, you can remind yourself that you're not alone through that experience, and that I can empathize and relate to you, and find that support network to lean on. I lean on my wife. I lean on my friends to get me through those moments where, like, I'm really struggling today. My leg hurts. And if you don't have one, follow me, message me, and I will be your support network. If you are my Cooper, don't do this alone. I didn't do it alone. I couldn't have done it alone. So find somebody. If you can't find somebody, find me. And I would love to be someone that somebody can talk to. And like, hey, this is really hard. Can you talk through this with me? I will be there for that.
God bless you for that. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. And I'm going to put all of your notes and the book and your Instagram in there. Is that the best way for people to come message you is Instagram?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put that in the show notes.
I do have my website too.
Okay. We'll put that
More
all in
often
there.
than not, I'm checking my IG.
Slip into the DMs.
As we scroll through it every night when we're laying down.
Yeah, we all know that goes.
Yeah, don't act like you don't do it.
We're all guilty. Friends, thank you for being here on this episode of the Marianne Hickman Show. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, join the family. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the next episode.